Okay, from our homework last night on 3-5, we had problems 3 and 4. Let's focus on problem 3 first. Okay, so there's problem 4. Okay, problem 3 in our workbook started this off for us. So they gave us what I call a push start. So what did they do? Well, they say solve each system by substitution. So we know we're going to be taking one equation, solving for one variable, and inserting that variable into the other two equations. So let's start off by numbering equation 1, 2, and 3. So what they've done on our push start, they picked one equation out of 1, 2, and 3, and they solved for one variable. And it looks like they picked the first one, equation 1. So that's equation 1. And when they solved it for y, what did they do? They subtracted a z, and they subtracted the 2x. And when you put it back in order, you have negative 2x minus z plus 14 is equal to y. Okay, so this is what they've done. Okay. So now, clean that up. We've got equation 1 rewritten for us. Y equals negative 2x minus z plus 14. So in equations 2 and 3 here, everywhere we see a y, we're going to replace that y with negative 2x minus z plus 14. So they start again with equation 2 here, and they copy it, but everywhere there's a y, they insert our negative 2x minus z plus 14. So let's do that. You've got negative x minus 3 times y, which is negative 2x minus z plus 14, plus 2z equals negative 2. So they started off with that. Now in our next equation, they have just actually multiplied everything times negative 3. So they distributed the negative 3 times negative 2x. So that's going to be a positive 6x. Negative 3 times negative z is a positive 3z. And negative 3 times 14 is a negative 42. So now they've done that. And then everything else is a straight copy. Plus the 2z equals negative 2. And there's your negative x. So all they did was distribute that negative 3 across that trinomial. Okay, so now they're going to clean up our signs and combine our like terms. So let me clean that up so we can see what we're doing here. So now we have a negative x plus 6x. Well, that's going to equal a 5x. A 3z plus a 2z. Well, that's going to be a 5z. And then they subtracted 42 from each side. Excuse me, they added 42 to each side to make this go away. Add 42 and then add 42 over here, and we get a 40. Now we have 5x plus 5z equal 40. Well, let's simplify. Divide everything by 5, and what do we get? X plus z equal 8. So now we've got a beautiful simplified equation out of equation 2 by substituting that y. So we're going to call this equation 4. Okay, I'm going to highlight this with a bright pink. Alright, so there's our equation 4. Now we need to do the same thing with equation 3. So, equation 3 here is 4x minus 6y and 6 times y, which is negative 2x minus z plus 14, okay, plus 3z equal negative 5. Okay, so now we're there. Now let's do our distribution. All right. So we're going to have 4x. Now, negative 6 times negative 2x is a positive 12x. Now, negative 6 times negative z is a positive 6z. And negative 6 times positive 14 is going to be a negative 84. Now, continue to carry down the rest of your terms. 3z equal negative 5. Now let's combine all like terms. Well, we've got a 4x plus a 12x. That's going to be 16x. And we have a 6z plus 3z. That's going to be a 9z. And then we have minus 84 equals negative 5. Now when we add 84 to each side, what do we get? We're going to get a 79. So carrying down our two terms, we have 16x plus 9z equal 79. And there's nothing pretty that we can simplify everything by, make a nice smaller equation. That's where we're going to leave it. So we're going to call this equation number 5. Now that we have equations 4 and 5, we're going to combine those to create, or to simplify it yet one more time down to one variable. So equation 4 was x plus z equal 8. And equation 5 was 16x plus 9z equal 79. Okay, so now we need to see what can I add to eliminate a variable. Oops. Can't grab this. There it is. Sorry about that. Once in a while I grab that frame and shift the whole thing over. Sorry about that. So what can I add and eliminate? A variable. Well, I can't with my x. I can't with my z. So what do I need to do? I've got to alter the first or second equation. So let's alter our first equation to, let's make this a negative 9z. So I'm going to multiply everything in my first equation by negative 9. So that becomes negative 9x minus 9z equal negative 72. And I'm going to do a straight copy of my other one, 16x plus 9z equal 79. Now let's solve. This goes away. So 16 minus 9 is 7x equal, and 79 minus 72 is also 7. So x is equal to 1. So we've got our first answer. We've got x equals 1. So let's go back up to our equation, and we know we're looking for an x, which is 1, a y, and a z. Okay, so we learned earlier that y is equal to negative 2 times x, which is 1. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, minus z plus 14. So 14 minus 2 is 12. Anyway. Okay. I've jumped the gun here, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this statement. Y is equal to 12 minus z. Okay, we need to go get our z before we can finish and get our y. Okay, so let's pick equations 4 or 5. I'm going to use 4 here. X plus z equal 8. And I'm going to plug in, let's see, I'll do it up here. X plus z equal 8. So we know that x is 1. So subtract 1 from each side and you get z is equal to 7. Okay, so now that we have x and z, now we can finish our statement there. So z is 7. So we're going to have y is equal to 12 minus 7, which is 5. And now we have, whoops, a mess. 1, 5, and 7. Okay, to check your answer, we're going to plug them all back in. So let's clean this up and we'll do that. Okay, so to plug in 1 for x, 5 for y, and 7 for z. So we have 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 does match 14, so our first equation's good. Now let's check equation 2. 1 for x, 5 for y, and 7 for z. So we have negative 1 plus 3 times, or excuse me, negative 1 minus 3 times 5, which is 15. So now we're at a negative 16. Plus 2 times 7, which is 14. That's going to equal negative 16 plus 14 is a negative 2. Negative 2 does equal negative 2. So the second one checks out. Now let's check the third equation. Let's plug in a 1 for x, a 5 for y, and a 7 for z. So 4 times 1 is 4. 6 times 5 is 30, so 4 minus 30. And 3 times 7 is 21. So now we have 4 minus 30, which is negative 26. And negative 26 plus 21 is equal to negative 5. And negative 5 does equal negative 5. So that checks out. So 1, 5, and 7 is definitely our answer. So number 4 states 3x plus 2y minus z equal 12, negative 4x plus y minus 2z equal 4, and x minus 3y plus z equal negative 4. So the first thing we have to do is label these equations 1, 2, and 3. And which one do we want to substitute? So pick the one that you think is easiest for you. I'll use equation number 3. And I'll solve for z. Right? So when I do that, I'm going to add 3y to each side and subtract x from each side. So I end up with z equals, we're going to go negative x plus 3y minus 4. So there's our new equation number 3. So we're going to insert this for z. Okay, so for the first equation, I'm going to have 3x plus 2y minus z, which is negative x, plus 3y minus 4 equal 12. So now clean it up. 3x plus 2y plus x minus 3y, that's a minus 3y, plus 4 equal 12. Now combine our x's. 3x plus x is 4x. 2y minus 3y is a negative y, plus 4 equal 12. subtract 4 from each side, and we get an 8. So we have 4x minus y equal 8. So there's equation 4. Now let's substitute it into our next equation, number 2. So now we have negative 4x plus y minus 2 times z, which is negative x, plus 3y minus 4. Ooh, ran out of room, equal 4. So I'll scoot that over. Negative 4x plus y minus 2. Negative 2 times negative x is a positive 2x. Negative 2 times 3y is a negative 6y. And negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. Equals 4. Now combine like terms. Negative 4x plus 2x is a negative 2x. Y minus 6y is a negative 5y. And then subtract 8 from each side, and I get equals to negative 4. Now I can flip all these signs, right? So I end up with 2x plus 5y equal 4. And there's my equation 5. So now I can combine equation 4 and 5 and eliminate another variable. So let's do that now. So we're going to have 4x minus y equal 8 and 2x plus 5y equal 4. So what do we need to do? I'm going to multiply the bottom. Oops. Do that every time. There we go. I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by a negative 2. Right? So when I do that, I'm going to get a negative 4x, and that was plus 5, yeah, minus 10y equal negative 8. So now that second equation, number 5, is rewritten. That's our 5. Now let's rewrite 4 up here. Just copy it down here. 4x minus y equal 8. Now, what happens when we add these? Well, my 4x goes away, and I get negative 11y equal 0. So y is equal to 0. So now that y is equal to 0, we've got part of our solution, right? We're going to have an x, a y, and a z, and we've got our y. We know our y is 0. So now let's plug that back in to equation 4 or 5 and get our x. So I'll just use equation 4 and plug in 0 for y. So when I do, this goes away, and I get 4x equals 8, so x is equal to 2. And now that I have x and y, I can choose, let's just use our third equation that we created, the z equals, and plug those in and get our z. So we know if x is 2 and y is 0, so this would go to 0, and we get negative 2 minus 4 is equal to z. So that's going to be a negative 6. So our answer is 2, 0, negative 6. And if you plug all those in and check all 3 original equations, it will be true. And that is the answer to our homework last night.